I'm coming to you live from Broken Hill. I wish I could show you some decent scenery from here, but it's I'm sitting next to a park because it's really, really windy out there. So what today is all about is post JobKeeper, and I think there's been a few announcements of late, and I've asked my good friend Greg Binskin, who is the tourism manager. What are you now? What is your title?
Well, Laurie, thanks. Yeah. So I'll let you introduce me, and then I'll give the title and I'll give a bit of background so people know who I am.
Cool, that'd be good. So Greg, I work with Greg with my hat on at the Tourism Advisory Council, which most of you know that I sit on, and it's really important that we look from a tourism perspective for this industry, for our adventure tourism guys, but also, you know, understanding what's happening in this space for the whole industry. So I've asked Greg to come along because he sits within the New South Wales Business Chamber, where they're doing a lot of advocacy work and working with the government on coming out of JobKeeper. So before I hand over to Greg, I just want to pay my respects to all our Aboriginal past, present and emerging leaders, of which we work with every day. And today I'm on Barkindji country. So I'll be meeting with the guys this afternoon, really keen to connect with them again. And yes, can I welcome everyone to this Connect and Share this morning. So Greg, I might quickly hand straight to you and let you take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Laurie, and thanks everyone for allowing me to join in. It is, I would sit back and say, after spending 30 odd years in tourism, it's one of the probably toughest I've ever seen it in relation to, through no fault of anyone's own, that businesses unfortunately won't make it to the other side. And there'll be businesses that have thrived, and in an economy that seems to be 2-speed, 3-speed, 4-speed, I don't know what we want to call it, it's going to be pretty tough. And so from my point of view, I'll give you a bit of background. So Laurie mentioned that we actually worked previously across a number of platforms. Look, I've been on the commercial side, I've ran accommodation, I've worked for ski resorts, I've also been involved in setting up regional destinations, regional networks, and now my new role is Executive Manager for the New South Wales Tourism Industry Council, which is part or powered by Business New South Wales. Business New South Wales, so what do we really do? We advocate, and I hate using the word lobby, but we advocate, and we advocate on behalf of the industry, but not just directly in the tourism industry, but for about 30,000 plus members across the state. Because as we all know, visitor economy has a deep, deep, deep supply chain. And if, you know, if some of the things are not working, it is a multi-layer. And we always talk about this, and I mean, for years and years, we always talked about tourism as everyone's business. You know, if the tourism industry fails, so will some of the accountants, because they won't have the books to do, and so on and so forth. And it's really important that, you know, we start to use the word visitor economy. It's starting to get a bit more traction through government. And so we sit in there and advocate on behalf of the industry to go forward. Look, I'm going to not mince any words. I said to Laurie I'd cut to it. We just really got some data that's just come out from our quarterly surveys. We do a survey across our businesses every quarter. We had about 800 respondents to this one, and I can read you some stuff that's just popped out. And we went out in the media today in relation to it. Just to give a bit of an understanding, our survey of New South Wales tourism businesses show the New South Wales visitor economy is set to massive job losses, cuts to hours for existing. We saw it with a number of things. You know, have a lot of people looked at their plans? Hopefully over the past 12 months during this COVID period, people have actually looked at where they go with crisis management. It gives an opportunity to reflect. And if you haven't, there's plenty of opportunity to sit there and look at where your business goes. Not understanding everyone's business on board. I suppose it's really sitting back and looking at your revenue bases. It's looking at yield. It's also, I hate using the word pivoted, but pivot comes in different ways. Do you partner? Do you collaborate? Where do you actually take your business next going forward? It's not going to end soon. I mean, the borders don't look like opening, and for many who are involved in international education, student trips, I got some data recently from the backpacker and the youth tourism advisory panel. They're in much similar ways. Unfortunately, coming out of government, it doesn't look like the borders will reopen. They can talk about bubbles to Singapore. They can talk about bubbles to New Zealand, but we've really got to get, the industry back on its feet. And so we keep advocating, and we do through the Australian Chamber of Commerce and through the Australian Tourism Industry Council, through the government. They work in the federal space. We work as a collaborative collectively together. That's all the bad stuff. I want to get that out of the way. There's some good stuff also happening. And for many of you, and as I say, not knowing your business, there's opportunities to be part of Dine Discover. If you're actually a business that offers an experience, just questioning, have you registered for Dine Discover, or can you register for Dine Discover? It's $500 million worth of state government money and as of today, I believe the Premier is launching it, is to get out there to discover. Yes, there will be the Dine part of it, but every adult over 18 years of age in New South Wales will get $100 vouchers, 50 for Dine and 50 for Discover. If you are running an opportunity in there, get on it, register. They are becoming more flexible. That's all I can say, because I sit on that group and we keep raising things. Well, your ANZAC code doesn't fit this. What about this? And so they are flexible. Reach out to Service New South Wales and get on board, because it's a lot of money sitting in there. That's something you might be able to access. Other things that you should be considering, there is actually a document right now in there about the evaluation of Crown Lands Acts. And if you operate on Crown land, there's a document that's actually right in discussion paper right now. The extension closes in April. I'll send the link through to Leslie on Laurie. You should put a submission in. They're interested in blue sky stuff. It's the first time I've heard, and a fact I didn't know, 42% of the land of New South Wales is actually Crown land. So it's a big land mass. And so if you've got ideas, access to tracks, access to walking, access that you want to do stuff, they're looking for ideas from the industry to look at that act to see where it fits in. Other ones that are sitting around at the moment, I was talking about how do you partner, pivot. There's also planning changes in and around agritourism. You may be able to operate a opportunity with a farmland. Well, currently you can't, or legally you can't, because under some of the instruments you can't actually run tours or activities on farmland. There's a paper actually sitting out there at the moment. New South Wales Planning have released a look at agritourism. I was part of a pilot program that ran through Wallandilly, Queanbeyan, Palorang and Liverpool Plains 3 years ago, and they're now come to the point of understanding that the planning instruments don't allow local governments to allow stuff to happen like agritourism. There's also event grants. Should look at having a look at some of those. And lastly, I reckon if we're not going to get anywhere, we've been pushing, but we need to go to do this together. I'd be writing to all your federal pollies that you sit around where you are and explaining your situation. It's got to get a higher voice. The Treasurer seems to be thinking that he's doing a really good job with the economy. So I'd be reaching out to your local pollies and asking them, what are they doing for you and your area, given that once JobKeeper finishes, the data, and I look at evidence base, is telling us it's not going to be a nice, lovely soft landing. Although, they've put an aviation package together, we really do need something focused for us. I'll finish off with, before I take some questions, the other thing that we've really done this year, we're trying to build confidence. Confidence is always important. We work with Destination New South Wales. They'll do some marketing. We're actually running in the New South Wales Top Tourism Town this year. It's a new awards, and we also run state awards. So if there's any interest in those, I'm sure Laurie will be able to assist you as being part of that for many, 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 many years. So look, I thought I'd just touch on those. If there's anything that you want to discuss, happy to share. I'm here to listen. Over to you.
Awesome, Greg. Thank you. Can you give us a little bit of update on where the government package is up to in relation to the 50% airfares discussion?
Yeah, look, it came out of. We were looking for a supplement package to wage supplement package. We were looking for that, and the government's come out with the airfare one. I think it's caught everyone on the hop. The week before, we were with Tourism Australia, and they understood that the cities were doing it tough and launched a cities campaign. And then the government's come out with these airline packages. There's still not a lot of information about it. Unfortunately, New South Wales gets Melbourne to Merimbula. That's going to really drive international business. So we're agitating in there about, well, what's next? It's something that's caught everybody and all the associations or all the organisations off guard. It seems to be a really good airline strategy. So we're now going back and saying, great, you tick that. Where's Tourism 2.0 for the rest of us? Not a lot of it, Laurie. I understand that the travel between destinations is discounted cheap airfares between both ways. That's about all I've actually been able to articulate, because there's not a lot of detail.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I don't know whether Dave or Rob can talk to this, but something that I'm even hearing while I'm out here is the domestic tourism is no doubt great, and certainly the aspect on the horizon is very positive. But what we're not seeing is those people actually participating in our adventures, in our offers, in our tours. It's very passive in their engagement with the regions. Dave or Rob, have you got any further insight there in that regard on the tourism side or the visitor economy side?
Rob here. Interesting you say that, Laurie. Greg, I'm Rob Gallagher from Mid Coast Adventures in Foster Tuncurry, do outdoor experiences with water sports, paddle boards, kayaks, walking tours and things like that. Interesting you say that, because that's my experience. People, the tourism people in the council and everyone else, they're all jumping out of their skin that the accommodations are full, 90%, well high. But the experiences, I mean, we're in our little region. I've always said that I just can't understand why there's not more experiences. We've got all these national parks, lakes, rivers, oceans and things, beaches, but there's not more people here doing that sort of business. And I'm sort of just idling along, waiting to see where, I just looked in my emails about back in the emails, and I contacted a few people around the traps in August last year, putting out the question, where are we going to be, or where's the direction of outdoor adventure or tourism after this pandemic? That was right in the middle of it, trying to work out where to invest my money so that I'd be ready when it did open up. But yeah, that's my experience, is that people are coming to town. They're coming to the, they've always come to this place. The town doubles in size in summer. And we had a little surge, a lot more than when that we had the year before, because we had fires and droughts and things. But so it was a nice surge, but it just stopped. It literally stopped on February 2 when they went back to school. So, we get a few calls a week, but now we've got 7-8 days of rain, as is everyone. But so there's nothing happening again. So I'm trying to do that pivot. I'm trying to get into the Crown lands or the national parks or the state forests, and do some blue sky thinking, as you say, Greg. Just put in huge amounts of. I put in 2 grant applications, and they're quite big dollar things. But you know, the assets are there. The skills, we have half a dozen people around here looking for jobs with the right outdoor education skills. They do. Someone has found some money. They did throw some $15 million into a sports stadium in Taree, but they had to go directly to the pollies, to the National Party, and ask for them, and they found something, and it's going to happen after 3 or 4 years now. So, but that, yeah, we'll sort of go back to your point. That's my experience in our outdoor adventure type things. People wanting to get wet, or people wanting to go for walks and things, or organised walks, is that it's dead flat.
So, Rob, can I ask, are you registered for Dine Discover?
It's on my top 3 things to do. I've been told to do it for the last month, and yes, I will, because what would be good for us is that a paddleboard activity is normally $30 an hour. One activity is $30, so we'll just offer a $25 thing to do. I don't know. It'll be very interesting actually if I put it out there and advertise it to the wazoo and see if the locals actually do it. I don't know what they're going to do with their $25 2 vouchers for experiences. I haven't. We don't get many locals doing what we do. It's all tourists that just want to get active or see some flat water and want to go out there. I did advertise. I spent about $1,200 on local advertising in the local paper over the school holiday, over the summer period, and didn't get one phone call from that avenue. So it'll be interesting to see. I'll give it a go, but I don't know it'll be all that successful. But as I say, it will be interesting to work out where the locals spend their $25 vouchers.
Yeah, well, that's why I asked, because there's some really interesting things that's occurring in Sydney. I'll give you an example. In the dine sector, the Watson's Bay Hotel, because you can't use it on alcohol, but you can actually use it for meals. But, what they're doing is to do exactly what you're talking about, how to get more locals coming back into it, because this money's going to be there. It's free money to get their locals to come in on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They're doubling the meal offer. But look, it doesn't take long to register. So if it's on your top 3, move it to number 1, because everyone's going to get these vouchers shortly. And I'd hate for you to miss out on picking up some of those things. And if you think about some offers, you can get some of those locals, because as Laurie and I know, visiting friends and relatives, it's a huge market, and they're normally your voice rather than the traditional way of, getting a salesperson come through the door from the newspaper and take an ad out. They're pretty good. We're a Foster Tuncurry. I don't know the population off the top of my head, but you think about it, if there's what's up there, 20,000 people, they're all going to have these things, and they're going to work out where they're going to go with their adventure or this Discover Pass. So you might be, ever thought about paddleboarding? Here's your opportunity, and you're not even going to have to pay for it, but you're going to have this great experience with Rob, The other one was, Rob, you talked about a few things there, and I'm not sure whether you've reached out to your destination network. So Destination New South Wales have a regional development fund and also a refresh fund, which is new. If you needed to refresh some of your equipment, you can apply for that funding in there as well. Just as an opportunity, reach out to your destination network. You must be Foster North, Destination North. Sydney Surrounds North. Yeah. Yep. Reach out to Glenn or Glenn's team, Michael, and ask them about some more information for you, because there's grants up to $150,000 there. Even if you take 10, 15, buy new boards, there's lots of opportunities sitting around. And as we always say, never waste a crisis. There's money flying around everywhere. Never waste it, because it's probably, won't go through. Anyway, that's just some comments. I'll give you some pointers.
And don't forget the tax write-off still continues till June too for those businesses that want to buy some assets from COVID. So, and just while I think of it, because we've got Thomas from ACT on the line, the ACT voucher system, although it's only for Canberra residents, is very similar in trying to get those locals to see some of those experiences on offer. And I know that's probably been a really good thing for a lot of them. And they've also relaxed their conditions around it. So previously you had to have a shop front. And as we know, a lot of our outdoor experiences don't have a shop front because we're outdoors. So they've relaxed that now. They've now allowed us to partake in that voucher system, and that's continuing at the moment. So like Dine and Discover, that one as well, key things to do. Unfortunately, Victoria, Dave, doesn't have the voucher system, but yeah, what are you seeing?
Me, yeah, okay. I mean, I think we're also going through a period where people are, trying to get out into the regions and get a holiday, but they don't have a lot of money. They're worried about, their jobs, worried about their, paying the house off if the prices go up for interest rates and that sort of thing. So by the time you actually pay your travel, pay your accommodation and pay your meals, there's not a huge amount of money left over. Yeah. So we're trying to bring our tourism stuff happening, but I'm putting more effort into school groups and small activity groups and corporates at the moment, because I think that that's where there's probably going to be some money. Quite often too with the tourists, and we're talking about Bright that has thousands of people, there'll just be a family of 3 or 2 that want to do an activity. So running the activity is actually going to cost me more than I'm paying my staff sometimes. So we've got to be careful again that our tourism offer doesn't cost us money in that sense. Yeah? So I'm still doing the tourism offer, but I'm ramping that up slowly because I think we're going through one of those periods where people probably haven't got as much spare money as they would have. We've been through it all before, of course.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Liz, what are you hearing from Skills IQ sense? I mean, I got to tell you, up here, they're struggling. Getting people skilled, getting people in jobs. There is a shortfall of what I'm hearing, up to 50,000 people are needed in some of the jobs across country and outback. Just in a quirky story to share with you, I don't know how many people know what I'm doing up here, but I've been taking some key people around the region to show what's happening up here. And we had a breakfast and a dinner in 3 different locations. The same waitress was in each 3, because she's literally the only person that is running around serving in bars and cafes in these towns. They are so short of staff. Liz, what's happening from your sense?
Well, look, we understand. Skills IQ is across a number of different industries, and a number that are incredibly short-staffed at the moment. You know, the hospitality industry, the outdoor industry, the home care and individuals' health support for aged care, etc. There's a price war on. So people are paying above award to attract staff from one facility to the other. So I'm pretty familiar, Rob, with Foster Tuncurry. My family live up there. Some of my family live up there. My mother reports that the staff in her aged care facility are leaving because the private aged care or a different aged care facility has upped their what they're paying, so people are moving. So there's a couple of things that we know have happened historically so let me take this to the outdoors, right? There's a couple of things that have happened historically, and I'm thinking 10, 15 years ago when I re-entered the outdoor industry in Australia, where we were very casualised because there wasn't a lot of part-time work. So we're in that same place at the moment. The part-time workers have been able to be, in some cases, kept on JobKeeper from their organisations. The casualised workforce had to go. They had to find money. They weren't on JobKeeper. They've gone to find work. Now, they're probably going to try and find work that is more stable. So they're not going to, there's this, the federal government has this idea that says, well, when somebody has been put off from their industry, they're going to go and work in a similar industry. So there was this whole idea that cocktail workers could go and work, people working in hospitality could go and work in aged care facilities. Somebody who serves a cafe, a coffee or a cocktail isn't necessarily the same person with the same life skills and interests to cross across to the aged care. So we know this is happening in these casualised workforces across the country, and there are still people sitting at home not working. So what we have to do is we have to have a conversation about what will get the client to me. So I've got young kids. We've just uploaded our active kids vouchers. We've just uploaded, we're looking at uploading because we want to support our local community. I'd go surfing and pay half the price for a surf lesson for my 9-year-old in Foster if I knew it was an option. But I got to know it's an option when I go to the website. Same down the South Coast. If I want to go to the South Coast, I got to know it's an option to use that $25. So even if it's just this big, quick face blurb on your page that says we are registered for this, you can use your voucher here. Make it easy for people to know. So I think part of it's about how do we get ourselves in front, but the bigger part is the issue with the staffing and the lack of patronage. Yes, our local cafe can't get someone to work for them. They haven't been able to get somebody to work for them, and they have remained open through COVID. So it's that concept of the workforce. Gee, we've got to make them. But the other part that you're talking about here is how does somebody know I can spend my $25 with you? I don't want you to give it to me for just $25. But I'll take that half price lesson if you can give me a lesson for $50 and I'll use the $25 voucher. And I think that there are people in the community that are in that space. How do we get that message? Do we let the schools know? We've got the school holidays coming up. Those vouchers should be out and be able to spend in those school holidays. So how do we let people know we're open for business and we want to offer that service? That was a lot of information in a couple of different angles, but
they're very articulate nonetheless. Thank you, Liz. and look, to your point, and to Greg's point earlier, exactly about that awareness. There's been some clever marketing tactics driven by some people and some regional as well, who've have taken that opportunity to say, well, I'm going to increase your propensity to come and use that voucher with me because I'm going to double that voucher offer. So I'm going to give you $50 if you send me the 25, because in actual fact, you get the 25 from the government. So you're actually giving them a $25 decrease off your bottom line, but you're getting that customer in through the door. So if you've got a $300 experience, well, if you say, look, I'll double the voucher, that sounds excellent to the offer from that consumer, and could be the difference between them going and spending at the cafe versus doing a surfing experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's where we just have to think outside the box.
Yeah,
look, Laurie and Elizabeth, you're quite right. Look, the biggest issue that we always found, and I'm not telling you guys anything because it happens everywhere, it's cash flow. This is $250 million worth of vouchers that the government's going to spend between probably when everyone gets them is within the next week and a half, and it's all got to be spent by 30th of June. So there's a massive window of $250 million sitting there ready to be spent. You've just got to get on the front foot, as Elizabeth said, in front of the pack, and get out there and get it in there. The marketing's coming. The government's about to spend millions of dollars on marketing this program. And it started to roll out in our local media because I actually have the vouchers down here through the Service New South Wales app. All you got to do is go in there and try and put your address in where you live. You use your New South Wales driver's licence and another form of ID, and they come onto your phone or onto the consumer's phone and you can take them, and they will pay you within 5 days. If you need cash flow, this is a great opportunity without having to spend a lot of your money on marketing and outlay. You've just got to have the product ready. They will market your product because on the website it says, find businesses near me that take vouchers. It's just a golden opportunity to do it. And good luck. That's all I'll say. And hopefully Laurie and the team can come back and give us some feedback, because we always like evidence-based feedback. How many things have been picked up? And if it's a problem, feed it back, because I also sit on a business advisory committee and we take directly to Dine Discover committee. So happy to take anything on board.
Greg, just from a not-for-profit sense, because we've got Stuart on the line who's from Scouts. Are they eligible? Can they register for this as well?
Joe, I don't know, because I don't know NZ code, but Stuart, all I would sit back and say is Ring Service New South Wales, they will give you a concierge, they will give you a person's name, mobile number, and let them go to you and answer the question, because there is some sectors aren't, some aren't, like, Scouts. I know up near us, they were looking at doing mountain biking as an activity. So, I can't really know where that's at, but reach out to them. They have a can-do attitude and they'll tell you if you're eligible or not.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Hey, Laurie, is there something that we can do through Outdoors New South Wales, even if it's the social media space, that ignites people to go and support the local operator, even if they know how to paddle, take their family out, visitors who are coming to visit? Is there something we can do that, sometimes when these things come up, we say, oh, look, we don't need to do that because we're going to pay for it anyway in our taxes. Well, we are going to pay for it anyway in our taxes. But it's that level of outdoor community support that says, hey, let's support these businesses, get involved, get your family out, take the day off and let somebody else lead the canoe trip.
Absolutely, yeah, and exactly, Liz. We'll put some stuff out on socials to say, consider the outdoors when using your voucher for sure. And I think we need to. The campaign is perfectly timed for Canberra, but I'd love to say that we had some funding to do a campaign in New South Wales as well at the moment. But we can certainly push it out through socials and the website for sure. Les. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but I think it's a massive opportunity, as Greg said, and we've got to really take everything we can get at the moment to leverage and to work as an industry. Dave, did you want to say something? No?
Oh, is that me again, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I just saw you unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to click it. The one of the things to watch, I have noticed some operators discounting, nearly below what is effective to pay staff and run to try and get customers. So when we're using vouchers or other things, we've got to make sure that we put our real price, and that you get the discount, because the government's, it's no use building an expectation that it's always going to be that cheap. So we do have to be careful how we as individual businesses market stuff. Otherwise you make a short-term win, but then you're losing in the longer term, because instead of being able to charge $150 for the half day, people are actually expecting it to be only $100, which might be a break-even figure.
A really good point, David. I'd love to run a connect and share just on the value of service and value of business, because I think we can easily get into that. What do we call it, Greg? Back in the day, the tent sign, the A-frame. So the whole motel, everyone put an A-frame out, was $5 cheaper than the next one, and next thing you find you're buying a room for $5. We can't get into that mentality of discount. We've got to realise our value. We've got to pay our bills. We have to be sustainable businesses. So really good point. Stuart, I noticed you unmuted a minute ago just when we were talking about Scouts. Sorry, did you want to say something?
So I'm working from working from a phone, not a computer at the moment. So
That's all right.
no, it's Scouts is a bit of a funny one when it comes down to vouchers, because we already get the active kids stuff anyway that goes towards their membership fees. Unless you can then say, well, the voucher could go towards an active kids voucher, then we could potentially recognise that as something. But as Dave said, we've got to be careful, because our prices are pretty cut price anyway, because it's all internal and everyone that operates is a Scout volunteer anyway. So the prices are very different to what it is in the commercial sense. So for a canoe day, we might only charge $25 anyway. And it's just for the upkeep of the canoes that we have. An abseil day might only cost $20 a day that we do, and that just to upkeep the equipment that we've got. But it's nothing like what a commercial group would charge for the same experience.
No, very good point. And I suppose being the not-for-profit model that you are, I mean, that's why you're sort of reducing your overheads from the start.
I still pretty active, and they actually don't have to get out of the lounge room as parents.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not too sure about how this could work or if it can work, but Stuart, could this be a bit of a taster for a continual engagement as a Scout member?
There's probably an opportunity there, but you know, because Scouts are very insular, we only accept Scout members. So, or someone who wants to try Scouting, and if someone wants to try Scouting, then some of these stuff they just pay whatever the group is charging for that activity on the day. So they can try Scouting group for up to 4 weeks, and that's up to each group. And then after that, kind of, well, you've been here 4 weeks. How about join? Because you can't sustain a person coming in on a casual basis forever and a day. So there is a cost, and you know, there is a membership cost that caters for your insurance and all that type of stuff. So
yeah, so what you want is continual membership first and foremost.
But they can certainly try Scouts. They can certainly try Scouts for 4 weeks for free, and that's not a problem. It's just the activity that they want to do. So if they're going out for canoeing day and it charges $20 or whatever it is, and I'd have to see what the vouchers would do and whether we accept them. So I'd have to take that up higher within Scouts and see if that's an opportunity for us.
Cool. Yeah, no, I think it's worth investigating, because you know, it could open up some more potential customers long term.
Well, that's right. Well, at the moment, the Scouting numbers have reduced quite significantly over the last 12 months, and COVID's one of the things that they're blaming at this point. But you know, there's a lot of things that we can blame, but you know, you might as well blame whatever's current, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I have a feeling it's a double-edged sword. I think it comes down to finances. There's a lot of people who lost their jobs, as Simon mentioned earlier, and they're finding it's a struggle street to keep food on the table. So something's got to give.
Agreed.
Outdoors Victoria and Sport and Rec Victoria are chasing a bit of funding to run some come and try activity, location specific things. So you might go to, say, Shepparton or Brighton, and there's not a full activity, but you might get a little bit of time in a kayak, a little bit of time on a cliff or whatever, you know, grouping people together to try and encourage people to come and do those activities, either personally or commercially, into the future. It might be with this voucher system, if a small group of activity providers in a local area got together and had a come and taste an activity day, yeah, you might be able to run just a series of 1 hour activities, you know, for sort of $50 a person, say, 25 of which would be the voucher. And you wouldn't be giving them a full experience. You'd be saying, this is a little bit of a kayak, and people would say, gee, I'd like to go and do this. And yeah, and then you could have all your brochures and stuff like that. It could be worthwhile trying to encourage people to work together a bit.
Exactly, Dave. Collaboration, partnerships, it's a great opportunity because these are not discount vouchers. This is,
It's real
this
money.
is $25. This is real money. This isn't, I've got to give anything away. So, look, Laurie, I've got to run to another meeting. So if there's anything else anyone would like to ask before I head off, please reach out.
Thank you, Greg. If anyone got a quick question for Greg? I think you've answered them all by the looks of it. So thank you so much for being here and helping us. And keep up the great work. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, just
No
a quick,
worries.
Rob here again. Thanks, Greg. I took down those data numbers. We've got a little Great Lakes Tourism Industry Association that I'm just going to shovel them straight onto that because the total go away with those figures of who's going to use the jobs and where we might be. TV says, hopefully, if you're saying your members are saying the cliff, then watch out.
Yeah, well, they're just facts that we were able to share. Laurie has the media release I sent out this morning, so it's all in there. So if you want to share that, Laurie, that's gone out. So I've also shared it with the destination networks.
Yeah, fabulous. Your members newsletter, guys, will come out this weekend and it'll have those details in it. So thanks, Greg.
Okay, have a great day. See you all.
Thanks, Greg. Take care. And thanks all for engaging in that conversation. As I say, the members newsletter will come out this weekend for obvious reasons that I've had no signal for the last 4 days. So my inbox is quite large at the moment. It'll take me most of the day to get through it and sift through. But anything that's happening in the world of outdoors at the moment that we should be aware of is how is everyone travelling? Is it the same? Is there any change? Is there anything that we should be aware of?
I think the working around our severe weather, which we're still got to. I noticed that the police in the Blue Mountains have said no canyoning for this weekend because
about time. I've been waiting for it.
And I think from sort of halfway up New South Wales into lower Queensland for the next few days, it may be that no outdoor activities are viable or safe. And this brings us back to, educating people about making the correct decisions early, about managing severe weather, alternative activities, or not going in the first place.
Yeah, awesome. Yes, Stuart, you concur?
Oh, absolutely. It wouldn't be just the Blue Mountains. I'd be worried about all the canyons in New South Wales at the same time. Even the ones around Armidale have a lot of volumes of water in Armidale, and there's a few canyons around there that people do, and they've been pumping with water in the last couple of days.
But I mean, we're also talking about river crossings in bushwalking,
That's right.
coastal hikes,
That's right.
out on any sort of water, flat or otherwise, with the winds and the storms. It's interesting.
So don't go camping this weekend, guys. It's going to be wet.
Yeah.
Hey, Laurie, I did have a meeting. What's today? So Wednesday night, there was a Destination North Coast get together in Taree. They were having their committee meeting in the local area, looking at the new big tin shed at Foster Mid-Coast Council. But so I went to that, just had a informal chat with everyone. So
Awesome.
One thing that, sorry?
Yeah, no, I said awesome. Yeah, great.
And one thing that's come, so here's a question for you. I don't know if you've, the New South Wales, Parks New South Wales or National Parks New South Wales, they've allocated $257 million for upgrading walks, trails, facilities, car parks, whatever. $257 million. And we asked something about, well, okay, can we all put in our local park for some upgrade? And I got the impression it was already spent, or it's already allocated, or so they've announced it. Is it fixed? No room for any suggestions?
There was, Rob, there was a window of opportunity. If you go back probably 5 newsletters ago, I sent you all some information in the newsletter to say if there's anything in your national parks that needs upgrading, here's the link and get in there, because they did have a very small window, but I understand now that the program is set.
Okay.
We've got to get better at getting these guys to think a little bit longer term. I mean, look, it's hard. You come out of COVID and they're throwing money, to help get fires, I should say. The fires were obviously the funding request, but it'd be great to have. I think that we've got to have those relationships locally, that it becomes part of the conversation long before the funding's there. But in saying that, I think, it's a two-way street. We've got to encourage these guys to also get us involved in that planning stage.
The problem is once they get the money from the government, they might only have a short window to spend it as well. So it's probably not a lot to turn around for them as well either. So
it's more about priorities. So, they can spend it quick or fast. I mean, locally here, they never liked 4-wheel drivers going down this really steep spinach edge. It was a rite of passage for 4-wheel drivers. It was only 400 meters of steepness, but it took them, they worked really, really quickly. They shut it. They had a new footpath down there and open again in 2 or 3 months. So they can move fast if they want to. But my point would be, it's a matter of priorities. I mean, for example, and I understand they are putting some money into our areas up in the Barrington Tops, upgrading things, camping areas and tracks for 4-wheel drivers and things. But they're not even mowing the campsites and putting signage up down on the coast. There'll be 3 or 4 times people travel to, say, the Mile Lakes National Park than do to the Barrington Tops National Park. There's maybe 4 times the volume of people, but they're not mowing the grasses or fixing the little cross bridges across little creeks and flooded areas, the wetlands and things. So priorities is, I'm not so much, sure, they're great. They've spent $250 million somewhere, that's fine. But unless they're going to spend it in the right places where the activity providers may want to take advantage of, a la, ours and others, there's probably out of the Eco Pass people that use this area, there's probably 30 people with Eco Passes, but only 4 or 5 of them would operate in the Barrington Tops rather than down by the...
Have we got an appointment at 1?
She hasn't got this time.
Okay, so I'm going to eat my fruit and then go.
No, that's
the warnings of ideas and comments.
Yeah.
Where did we get the 1 litre from?
Okay, guys. Well, look, we might finish there unless anyone wanted to bring up something quickly. We'll certainly be sending out the members' newsletter over the weekend, and we'll be back in Sydney, or I'll be back on the ground next week, next Connected Share Friday.
Weather permitting.
What was that, Rob?
Weather permitting.
Weather permitting, yeah. I must admit, I'm trying to fly out of Broken Hill on Monday morning with 40 mil of rain hitting here, so that should be fun.
Yeah, good luck with that, Laurie.
Thanks, Liz.
Did you say fly or boat?
Yeah, well, I'll be flying, but these little Saabs are a lot of fun in normal weather, let alone in rain.
So it'd be a flying boat.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, just a question, Laurie. Are we happy houring tonight, or are you not on comms? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I won't be on comms, but feel free to happy hour without me, and my thoughts will be with you. And I wish I was having a drink at that time. I've got appointments up until 7 o'clock tonight. All right, guys.
You
So
should
thank
come to Tenterfield, Laurie.
Yeah, I should.
I'm up here until tomorrow. Then I'm going
Oh, fabulous. Awesome. All right, gang. Thank you so much for joining us for another Friday, and look forward to seeing you next Friday with more news. Take
Yeah,
care.
thanks, folks. Bye.
See ya. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye, Stuart.